What is going on, everyone? My name's Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's the Gameweek16 preview. A bit like the last one, unfortunately that got removed for some reason, but hopefully this one won't. I'm going to go through several kind of smaller topics one by one rather than overall broader topics. Try and get through as many things as possible before the deadline, which is tomorrow. So obviously it's a quick turnaround again. So we've got things like Rashford, is he essential? What to do with Pulisic now? Son versus Alli, that kind of thing, as well as captaincy at the end as well. So stay tuned for that. Before I jump into it, did want to say the video has kindly been sponsored by OneFootball. If you haven't already checked it out, I've got loads of team news, lineups and kind of live scores and stuff like that you need as an FPL manager right over Christmas, where there's loads of fixtures coming up. So click the link in the description below to check it out, or just search for OneFootball on Android and iOS stores. Completely free. Give it a go and see what you think. So after another good performance, couple of goals against Spurs, lots of people talking about Marcus Rashford again. Is he essential? Not a tag that I like to use for too many players. Now he is currently, as it stands, the third highest scoring forward in the game. 6.1 points per match is also the third joint highest if you discount Iheanacho, who's kind of got a high score because he's not played many minutes. And 8.8 million, so not too expensive, but still getting onto the kind of end of like Vardy and co, rather than Ings and kind of what Abraham and the likes of that started with. If you look at the underlying stats, so he's third for shots in the box over the last 4 as well, so getting plenty of shots away, and third for expected goals from open play, so quite a lot of his chances are pretty decent as well. And if you watch that Spurs game, he was extremely good. Maybe a bit fortunate for the first goal that Gazzaniga didn't save it, but then Gazzaniga pulled off some great saves as well to kind of counteract it. So on other days, those shots would have probably gone in, and he would have had an even higher score. Now, the next fixture is Man City away. I don't particularly like that. It is worth noting this season he's scored against Chelsea, Spurs, Leicester and Liverpool already. So he's a bit of a big game player. Does turn up for this. You'd expect Man United to be up for the game as well. But it's going to be much tougher than the Spurs game was. I've said this a few times now. Fred and McTominay kind of bossed the Spurs midfield quite a bit. That's not going to happen against Man City. Man City are at home. They're going to have much more of the ball. And while Man United will want to counter, it's a case of whether they can. So I think that's a tricky fixture to bring him in for, but it is pretty decent after that. So Everton at home, Watford away, Newcastle at home, Burnley away, Arsenal away. Arsenal not really doing too well either right now. And Norwich at home. He's nailed pretty much. You're not going to miss too many games from him at all. Penalties, in form as well. There's not much to dislike. Would I bring him in this week? Probably not. If you've got a spare transfer for an injured player or something like that, then you could look at doing it. And Rashford being essential kind of ties in with kind of forwards or our forward lines overall. So we spoke about this a bit on the Scoutcast when I did it last night. Kind of who would be the optimal front line. And it probably would, if you could free hit right now, wildcard right now for free, Vardy, Abraham and Rashford look pretty good. My advice would be don't panic about having that optimal front line there. There's plenty of other strikers that are doing well. Jimenez, you know, he's almost like the forgotten man, even though he's doing so well. He's got Brighton away. The fixtures do get a bit tougher for him then, so it might be time to move him on. And obviously, you know, I've got Ings. He's doing really well. Mousse has been doing well. Unfortunately, he got benched in Gameweek15. You wouldn't expect that going forward. You'd expect him to play most minutes. So the key question for me is, can those cheap forwards, Ings and Mousse, are they better than cheap midfielders for the same price? And they probably are right now. There's not too many midfielders under the kind of 6.5, 7 million bracket that we're all jumping on. So while Vardy, Abraham, Rashford might be the best front line you can get right now, that could change really quickly. And also there's no reason to panic. If you've got other strikers that are doing well and you're pumping your money into midfield instead, obviously a lot of people are looking at the likes of Alli and Son now, then you can't have all that money up front. So don't panic. I think that is probably the best forward line. I think Rashford is in great form now. And after the Man City game, if I had the money, I might look to move on him. But he's definitely not essential, I would say. Pulisic is another player people are kind of getting worried about, a bit like Martial, who we're going to talk about in a sec. He's blanked 3 games in a row, so obviously there's a little bit of panic setting in. Is that going to continue? I bought him in last week, so a bit frustrating he didn't get anything against Aston Villa. I was hoping that he would. Now, he's a player where if you look at the underlying stats, he's basically due a goal. And I know it doesn't work like that. I know just because you're due a goal doesn't mean you're going to get one. But last 4 game weeks, he's top for open play expected goals. So even ahead of Vardy, 3.01 expected goals, but no goals in the last 3 game weeks. So they're coming. If he keeps getting those good chances, he's going to score eventually. There was a good tweet by FPL Physio, which quoted a snippet from an Athletic article, basically about him in the last game against Villa, arriving in the box late, a bit like what we've seen Sterling do in the past. Basically being in the right place, right time, high expected goals, chances, and he's probably been a bit unlucky not to have scored in the last 2 games. So I'm not panicking. Everton away, Bournemouth at home, Spurs away and Southampton at home to come. And at 7.5 million, I think he's probably going to show that is still a cheap price for him. And then lastly, we've got Martial. What to do with him? I think he's probably a sell. So looking at what Solskjaer said, he said he hopes to have him for some of the game against Man City. So he's not necessarily going to start. Obviously, that's a tricky fixture. Anyway, one of the reasons we got him originally, or some people got him originally, because he was cheaper than Rashford and playing as a midfielder. So extra point for a goal, extra point for clean sheet. Neither of which Man United, well, especially clean sheets, Man United haven't got many anyway. But obviously Rashford's gone and absolutely smashed it. So Martial just always seems to be injured, especially at the moment. I think Rashford looks good. I don't think a double up on Man United is probably needed. Who to sell him for? I mean, Maddison's got 2 nice fixtures, scored points in 4 of the last 6 fixtures, but then they got a couple of tricky fixtures after the next 2, so it's a bit short term. Alli and Son are good, I think, if you've got the money, or Grealish potentially if you want to downgrade a bit. Or the man I've just mentioned, Pulisic, you could do a straight swap. But I think Martial, he'd be a player that I'd want to offload, even though the fixtures coming up are good. If he's not going to play the Man City game, he's going to keep this niggling injury and he's going to keep coming back. Then that's going to get frustrating down the line as you go over Christmas. So another question I got asked, is it a waste to spend your free transfer on a goalkeeper if your current goalkeeper isn't injured? So I think goalkeeper transfers are always an interesting discussion, or maybe not, depending on how you look at it, because no one ever wants to use a transfer on them. I've got Pope. I know there's probably better goalkeepers out there, but I'm saving those transfers in case an interesting attacker comes along, one of my defenders gets injured or whatever it might be. Mostly because the ceiling for goalkeepers tends to be a bit lower for the price. I think if you have one free transfer, it is pretty tough to know whether you should definitely use it this week. Obviously, having 2 free transfers, it makes you quite flexible. You don't know what's going to happen next week. We've got the Liverpool blank coming up as well, so it might be a good time to actually start saving transfers instead of using them on goalkeepers. And obviously, goalkeeper, even in tough fixtures, has got saves to fall back on, fingers crossed. So they can up their points even if they don't get a clean sheet. I think if you're absolutely certain there's a particular goalkeeper you want that's absolutely going to outscore the one you've got over the long term, there's no harm in using a free transfer on them. I know a lot of people looking at maybe getting Guaita in from Crystal Palace or Henderson from Sheffield United. And I think that is a pretty good option. So if you want to make the move, absolutely you should go for it. I wouldn't worry about wasting a transfer. If you're bringing in, it's like any other position. If you're bringing in a player you think is going to score you more points over a course of 4, 5, 6 plus games, then that's got to be a good transfer down the line. But just having in the back of your mind what you might need to do next week and the fact that Liverpool have got a blank, which we're going to talk about in a sec. Sheffield United defence has the double up burst. So they've still got 5 clean sheets so far this season. That's the same as Man City, Palace and Burnley. Only Leicester have more. So it's maybe not time to start panicking just yet. The fixtures coming up, Norwich away, Villa at home, Brighton away and Watford at home are pretty good. I've just bought in Lunchroom, so I'm hoping for some clean sheets from them. I think the point is, and I think I made this recently, I wouldn't buy into the double up now. If I had it, I'd probably just keep it. You got 4 good fixtures. Just keep them and hope that the points come through. They did just concede 2 to Newcastle, 3 to Man United. So perhaps they're being found out a little bit. But if I was thinking of doubling up, and most of you have probably already got Lundstrom, then I wouldn't necessarily go for Henderson. I think I'd go for like Guaita and someone like that instead. So has the double up burst? I think it's a bad time to be bringing them in when they've just conceded so many goals. And after those 4 fixtures, it does get a bit trickier for them as well. So probably not needed now. If you've already got it though, I personally wouldn't be panicking too much. Preparing for the Liverpool blank. So in Game Week 18, they're going to blank. They're not going to play a fixture in that game, but they're going to play it later down the line. We don't know when just yet. Now, the fixtures around that blank are interesting. They're pretty tough, I think, for Liverpool. So they've got the blank, Leicester away, obviously one of the best teams in the league right now. Wolves and Sheffield United at home. Now, the fact they're at Anfield makes that a little bit better, but we've seen Sheffield United 5 clean sheets. Wolves very rarely get beaten by a large amount. Then they've got Spurs away, top 6 game. Man United at home, top 6 game. And those games are usually pretty tight, although, again, this one is at Anfield. And then Wolves away again. So they play Wolves twice in this kind of 6-7 period. So it is pretty tricky. So if you wanted to get rid, it might not be the worst time. Obviously, you can bring these players back in. Just because you get rid of them doesn't mean they're gone forever. If you have a good bench, I definitely wouldn't panic. And especially if you've only got... So I've got 2 Liverpool players, for example. So I'm not really panicking too much. If I had 3... Still don't think it's panic time, but you might want to have a plan to offload when the defence aren't getting enough clean sheets anyway. Mane and Salah is probably maybe a little bit too much. Obviously, you've got 2 nice fixtures now. But after that, you might want to get rid of one. Perhaps even going back to a Man City midfielder like Sterling, because Man City's fixtures are going to get a bit better soon around Game Week 20. So just have a plan. Think about how your team's looking, how many players that you've got that aren't Liverpool players you absolutely need to get rid of in the next few weeks. And if you've got 3, maybe you have a think about which one you might want to drop. If you've got a good bench, you could just bench them all for that week. The good thing, I suppose, for only Liverpool players or 3 Liverpool players. In Game Week 18, there aren't too many big hitting players that have really, really nice fixtures. So Spurs play Chelsea, Man City play Leicester. So it could just be worth holding on. And then, you know, we've seen how good Mane, for example, has been this season. If Trent and Robertson can get some clean sheets, their attacking returns will mean, you know, they're absolutely almost must-owns. Now, whether they'll get those clean sheets is a different conversation we won't have in this video. But yeah, I just think because the fixtures are tough in that game week, it might not be the worst time just to hold on to them. Because, you know, you're not probably expecting too many points Man City versus Leicester. Same for Spurs versus Chelsea. So I wouldn't panic on it too much. Then Alli versus Son. This has been a big question this week. So, since Game Week 9, Alli, 5 goals, 1 assist. Bearing in mind, this is before Mourinho came in. The reason I chose Game Week 9 is because that's when Alli first played 90 minutes. So he's had 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 attacking returns. Son has had 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 attacking returns. So only one more attacking return, but 3 less goals. Obviously, goals worth more points. But he did play 45 minutes in Game Week 9. But the rest of the time, they've kind of all played decent minutes in all games. 7 game week range isn't a huge sample size, but it is what we've got, and it's not too bad. I think it's, you know, it's better than doing 2, 3, 4 game weeks, which is kind of what we've got since Mourinho came in. If you look at the stats, 10 chances created each. Big chances, Alli's had a 5, Son is 4. Shots, Alli has had less, 13 to 20, and same in the box, 10 to 13. That does show that Son, a lot of his shots are coming outside the box. So in the box, it's much closer. Expected goals, Alli is ahead, 2.83 versus 2.16. And assist-wise, expected assists, he's slightly down, so 0.64 versus 1.39. So as you can see there, Alli's slightly better for kind of goal threat, and Son slightly better for assist potential. And that kind of shows in the returns they've got. Although, to be fair, the expected goals aren't that far apart. So maybe Son has been a bit unlucky just to have the 2 goals. He's kind of matched his expected goals, and we might see him get more soon just because of how attacking he is. But since Mourinho has come in, Alli kind of been told to play as a second striker, make sure you're playing up against Kane. We've seen him in the box, plenty of shots in the box over the last kind of 2 or 3 game weeks. Not only that, he looks confident. The way he took his goals against Bournemouth, the way he took his goal against Man United, even though Man United kind of dominated that game, when Alli got his chance, he took it and took it really nicely. So he's full of confidence. I think you cannot knock the 1.2 million saving. If I had to, gun to my head now, choose one, I think I would just take Alli, even if I had the money for both. I think Son is a very consistent player, and over the season he will get plenty of points. If you've got the money to spend, maybe you should do it. But goal threat wise, Alli looks good, and that's explosiveness, and that's what I want. So he's at 8.6 million right now, and that seems like a great price. So Captaincy is going to be interesting, just to discount the kind of matches that I'm not going to captain players in. So Man City versus Man United, I think Man United might make it tough like they did for Spurs. Definitely not going to be as easy a game as Spurs maybe was. Not that the game was easy, but it was easier than Man City is going to be. I just think De Bruyne or Sterling versus Man United defence, look, I'm sure they'll score. Man City as a team will score in that game, but I don't know if Man United are going to get battered. They haven't really had that all season apart from the 3 goals against Sheffield United. So we'll see what happens there. West Ham versus Arsenal. Arsenal just look rubbish. Is this a game that West Ham might turn up for? Possibly. I don't think I'll be captaining Aubameyang or Lacazette this week. And then Brighton versus Wolves. I think Jimenez has been such a good player that's constantly ticking over with points. I'm just not sure the big haul is there right now. I'm confident with it against Brighton away. So I wouldn't be looking to captain him. So the games that I've picked out, Everton versus Chelsea. I think Everton, I thought they looked okay against Leicester, and then they got absolutely battered by Liverpool. Now Chelsea have scored quite a few goals this year. They're not kind of in Liverpool's level just yet. And Everton do have a lot of injuries though, so that's potentially a reason to go for them. I think if you're looking at players, obviously Abraham looked really good once he came back, and Pulisic has got good underlying stats. Chelsea do have a midweek fixture, it's Champions League week, so that is going to be a bit of a concern for minutes as well. I think there's a good chance they both start. It's how many minutes do they actually last? And we could see Abraham come off around the 70-minute mark again. So I think Abraham and Pulisic are probably in the punt category this week. With Marco Silva gone, we don't know how Everton are going to react to that. Will they make it tough for Chelsea? It's the kind of fixture where they could. So that would probably put me off enough there. Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Let's not forget Salah hat-trick against them last year. And funnily enough, the fact that he got benched last week, obviously for owners, that's super frustrating. But now it looks like he's definitely going to play this week. So I think he's a good captain potential. Mane would be the one that I want to go for this week. If I didn't have those slight concerns over whether he's going to get rested. Klopp has talked about kind of rotating players and maybe having to give them a rest even if he doesn't want to. So that is a worry. So I think if you think Mane is going to play in this game and start the game, sure he might have his minutes managed, 70, 80 minutes, whatever it might be. he can definitely get points against the Bournemouth defence. And I think he's probably the standout this week if you knew that everyone was going to play. But if I was a Salah owner, I'd maybe take the risk and just go for him this week. Spurs versus Burnley. Defensively, Burnley is still doing okay. Spurs haven't been lacking in goals, though, especially since Mourinho has come in. Again, they've got Champions League as well, but they're already through. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of team gets picked there. Obviously, Son and Ali both look like the standouts. I wouldn't go... If I had Kane, I'd be tempted to do it, but I would prefer not to own Kane in general. So I think Ali and Son are the ones you want to look for. And they've been pretty integral to the way Mourinho's set up. So again, I'm expecting them to play. I'm not expecting too many big players to get rested this weekend, but the fact they've just played a midweek in this Champions League again, it's really hard to call, to be honest. So I don't know if Spurs are as much of a punt as maybe Chelsea, because I think Burnley at home is a bit better. So if I had Ali or Son, it would definitely be a tempter. And then Villa versus Leicester, look, as much as people keep saying that Villa have been defensively sound and stuff like that, and they've looked good defensively. And to be fair, they did well against Liverpool at home. They are still conceding quite a few shots, so I think it's a good game for Leicester again. Obviously, he's going to miss. There's no Champions League for Leicester, so Vardy's definitely going to start. On penalties, you can say he's been a bit lucky with penalties, but that's one of the reasons we got him in, because he has them to back him up. So for me, I'm probably looking to captain Vardy again this week. He scored 7 games in a row. If I have sudden bout of confidence that Mane will play, then I might switch back. If I had a Spurs player, I think this week's actually not a bad time to go a little bit different, because there's no way Vardy is going to be captained by as many managers as last week, I don't think, although he did score again, so maybe that would be completely wrong. The fact that Mane got a 15-pointer is going to turn heads and make people go for him. If you think he's going to be rested, that's a good time to maybe counter that and go for someone else. If you've got Salah, that's looking like a huge differential right now, because people have got rid of him and they're pretty scared to captain him. And then you've got Spurs players who are on fire right now, but because Vardy and Mane are doing so well, a lot of people won't look at them. So it could be a good week to go different and get high up the ranks, maybe. So that is it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Like I said, I know it was a bit quick. We went through loads of topics. Let me know what you think about that, actually. Is that better than going through maybe a broader topic, talking about one team or a set of players? Let me know which way you prefer. But obviously, I'll have a little bit more time next week. Deadline tomorrow, Saturday. Don't forget it. Obviously, quick turnaround here. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. If you are new, hit that notification bell as well, so you know when all the videos are going up. We're back to kind of normal schedule for the next couple of weeks until we hit Christmas. And then we'll change it up again and try and get the videos out where we can. Leave a comment below if you've got any kind of comments on what I've said or any questions, stuff like that. And if you've not checked out OneFootball, completely free football app, make sure to check it out. Link in the description below, or search OneFootball on the Android, iOS stores. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you later.